G'day, Lucas Buttercroft here from Tribu. Great to see you all again. It's been a while. I've got an amazing Sean with me, all the way from the US, in the ConnectWise Nation Team PitchIT IT Competition. And the cool thing is, I want to jump on today is because obviously we were a part of the PitchIT IT Competition last year as we went through developing out our product from a Tribu AI standpoint. Thanks for coming on board, Sean. Great to have you.
Absolutely, Lucas. Not a problem. I had nothing better to do at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard in the U.S. on a Monday night. So spending time with you is great.
So give us I guess, about background on yourself while you're having that cigar and having a nice whiskey before we get into it.
That is correct. That's happening next. So a little bit about me. I am I came to ConnectWise as the evangelist for the ConnectWise economy. And part of the responsibilities was to start to head up the PitchIT competition, and I can go into that. We can dig into that as we talk, of course. But the whole premise behind it is to start to really educate everybody on what is going on with ConnectWise across the board, because we're a large company. Where we started and where we are today are it was an evolution, of course, but it's very dynamic. It's very robust as far as what we work with, how we work with. And how we enable our partners. So, I end up getting this over to here just simply by, I spent many years in channel and sales and marketing enablement. I worked with thousands of MSPs at this point. A lot of actually, most of my friends are MSPs. Many of them are. So I've been very engaged in that. And I've worked with, when I did the channel enablement side, I was actually working with vendors as well. So it was very fun to do. It's been very challenging to work with vendors and partners, and I've enjoyed it all this time. So now I'm in a position where I can actually spread the word of what ConnectWise does, how to do it, and hopefully it helps with the MSPs finding their way to working with vendors like you guys.
Yeah, awesome, man. That's I can't wait to hear some stories that you've got over the years. You can see my nephew right in the background, getting ready. I'm actually out. So obviously I'm based in Australia. Brisbane's where I'm from. I'm actually down in Canberra today. My nephew wanted to go for a mountain bike riding, so I'm literally on my laptop, 5G hotspotting. Got the mountains in the background where he's about to spend the day while we do this LinkedIn Live. Gotta love remote working.
Yes, I mean, well, so actually that's a great segue into PitchIT to start with. Since the start of COVID, you saw the largest transformation of the workforce. It's funny because I saw this meme about a year and a half ago, and it was like a checklist of what made you become, what pushed you over to the digital world to digitalize, and it was like preparing for it, or whatever. But then it said COVID, and that was the box that was checked. Like the digital transformation had to happen. It was inevitable. And especially with COVID, and I don't know about you, but almost every company I've worked with has a remote workforce at this point now. They were already dealing and tinkering with hybrid, but it's like where now you've seen offices shut down that have hosted thousands of people that are now working at home. So, that was actually one of the big taglines for PitchIT. And part of the transition that we're trying to push here with that is the transition is something rough. There's tons of vendors like you guys and other vendors out there that exist that can actually help with this digital workload regardless, to make lives easier, automating things, improving on communications, whatever it may be. But that's exactly what this is about.
Yeah, honestly, that's when we first joined the PitchIT competition in I think February, March last year when we found out about it, and then we went through the process over a few months to get involved in the competition. One of the criteria is obviously from a ConnectWise standpoint back then was, once, if you do get through the final, make sure you get over to the US and have an opportunity to pitch on live on stage, and then have a booth and be able to connect with everyone. And that was like 6 months in advance. We're like, yeah, totally fine. No worries. We'll be able to get over to the US. And so obviously did everything remotely. Being based in Australia and not being able to escape this country up until now. And so it was escape. And so like Raza would host all the sessions. With there was I think 8 of us at the time, going through the competition process, and it'd be at midnight my time, which is like 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. US time, and so it's great for all the US participants, and obviously midnight for me, so it wasn't so great. I missed a few sessions unfortunately because either I didn't set my alarm in time, or I didn't wake up in time, or got the time zone wrong, or whatever it might be.
You don't want to stay up all night? You don't want to stay up?
No, definitely not. The midnight ones are not too bad, but when it started to get like a 2 a.m. or a 3 a.m. session, you're like, oh, I'll go sleep for a few hours and I'll get up again. And sometimes your body clock just
It
doesn't
doesn't
like
work
it.
that way. Yeah, it doesn't work that way at all. But okay, but that's a prime example. You had to do this from Australia. You didn't even physically come, and you took second place. If that doesn't tell you the power of being able to do things from where the mountains are behind you, and your nephew's riding a bicycle, I once did a webinar for a group, and there were probably about 500 or 600 people watching, and I was actually at the airport. I was actually flying out on vacation, so I was at the airport at the club, and the cleaning lady, the lady was cleaning tables and everything else. She kept peeking around the corner at the video. I could see her like behind me, and I'm like, she's like looked over, and she was like, it was the funniest thing, but it was actually well received. It became like a running joke during the course of the webinar.
I dare say with all these kids as well, they love their bikes, and I love their videos and GoPros, and all they want is we're trying to do every day is trying to get better and better, right? So that's their life.
Sounds horrible.
The cool thing about the PitchIT competition and the ecosystem as a whole now, both from a vendor perspective, let's say in our world, or ConnectWise, or the other major vendors, all the way through to investors, everything's such a global landscape now, where I still remember when we launched our business and product and idea pre-pandemic, and it was like, you must be in the US. The US is the only way you can get your product launched, the only way you can get your product live, the only way you can raise money from investors. You have to be in the US. And so we committed. We're like, yep, 100% we'll be there. And obviously, fast forward, 2 years later, everyone's like, nah, you can be anywhere in the world. There's no problems. Like, it's completely different mindset
It is.
whatsoever.
It
Which is what goes to your point before, right? Which is around the
Mhm.
MSP ecosystem, and everyone's just had to adopt and change.
Yeah. Well, you got to figure investors before. Well, let's look at the transition and the transformation of all of this. Even remember when I started in my professional journey, you had to have a brick and mortar store, or you had to have a business card. Those are the two things you had to have, right? To have credibility, and then it transformed into, you got to have a website. And then it turned into, you have to have a social media piece, or a following, or a presence, or whatever. And, so you're looking at those things occur. I mean, it's inevitable. It's evolution, and now it comes down to where you can have a virtual office from absolutely nowhere, but it's not proven from the offices anymore. So the old school way of thinking is changing, because now it's more about having social proof. Those are customers that you know what I mean, that can say, hey, I mean, Yelp, look at Yelp. What is Yelp? Yelp is a website, basically. It's an app. But yet, if your company is on Yelp, if your restaurant is on Yelp and you have reviews, you have social proof. That's what people need, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
You buy things based on people's recommendations.
Yeah, and obviously fast forward to now, like our first meeting we've ever done together between myself and yourself, Sean, is virtual. It's online. It's just the way it is now. And so, 2 years ago, it'd be like, oh, it's a bit sketchy, it's a bit unknown, and then 2 years later, it's like, no, this is just normal now. There's some podcasts I've been listening to where even the younger generation have formed best friend alignments online. They'll never meet in person probably in their entire life, and yet they're completely bonded through online experiences.
Oh my Lord, yeah. That's well, okay. So, and think about where that started with. That started with World of Warcraft and things like that playing, and then when they started opening up the ability to communicate, I know it was a primitive chat and Discord, those all became big time areas for this. And then when PlayStation and Xbox created the ability to actually talk with your headset through the Xbox, when I came out of the Army, I had friends all around the country, and this is before long distance was free. They're still charging state by state calls. So we would get on there and we would talk. That's how we would do it. And you got to really maintain relationships or create new relationships. And now, I mean, I think today, this day and age, like I watch my daughter, she's 13. and she is involved in groups for like, she's huge into art, instruments and stuff like that. So she's constantly on there, and she's an anime fan. So she gets in these groups that discuss these things, and she's created friends out of it she'll never see ever. I mean, I think she even has a friend that's over in Australia somewhere too, that's on in these groups. So it's just the way it is nowadays. So digital transformation is real. And you guys, companies like you, innovation is so crucial that you're a big part of that.
Yeah, I might talk about my pitching competition experience, and then we'll dive into what this year looks like. Because obviously, it's changed a bit, and from the audience that are tuning in today, we want to obviously, I guess the opportunity is to understand what this is, how do you apply, and how do you get on board. And so, I guess from our experience and the process we went through was that whole, do you have an idea in market with a few customers that can give you some testimonials around what you're doing? To go on a bit of a journey with ConnectWise, to embed yourself into the ConnectWise ecosystem, to then open up doors to opportunity. And then obviously, in our case, we were able to get second prize, which is pretty damn cool. So thanks ConnectWise for taking us through that whole journey. I guess the core things I learned throughout the journey though was I'd already been in the mindset of pitching my concept or idea or process or product or service that we're building to investors for 18 months straight. At the end of the day, we're a tech startup. We're based there. We're a Delaware organization. We have staff all around the world and customers all around the world. And so my mindset was always down on pitch to investors. And going through this ConnectWise PitchIT competition, I had to switch it to go, well, now we're pitching to MSPs. Now we're pitching to the ecosystem. Now we're pitching back to the
Yes.
and so it's a different conversation. It's a different way you present your product in our case. Along the same lines, but it's also about how you can get that across quickly and easily to the MSPs, that they understand it and go, cool, yeah, I really need that, or really want that, or I love that concept or idea, and I really want that in my business. And so that took probably a good month or so of rechanging everything. My entire pitch deck changed from start to finish, and so there was a bit of a learning curve through that process for myself. Is that similar to what's happening in the next iteration of PitchIT?
So yeah, absolutely. So absolutely. The one thing is, I've worked with about 5 startup companies in my life, right? And I come in as the entrepreneur. They ask me to come in to do exactly things like this. What I've always found to be difficult is exactly what you started with. They've been so busy pitching to investors, and it's a different conversation. There are overlapping pieces, right? Because they're like, well, what's the product do? That same thing the MSPs want to know, right? What's the product do? How does it help people? Does it help people? And the other conversations are like, does it work? Does it play nicely with other platforms? Which is an integration conversation, right? But investors will ask those questions, and then it turns into a separate conversation all the way around, where you're talking to investors about your financials, about everything else too. That's the MSPs want to know that you've been around long enough and you have friends that are actually using it. So this time around, there has been some changes to PitchIT. We created a 16-week accelerator program. So right now we're taking applications now until the end of the month. And then that shuts off. And we already have a good bit of applications already. We have some really cool products that I've looked at now. Well, based off of their explanation, I haven't seen their products yet, but we will be seeing them in the next few weeks. So once this starts, which will be around the second week of May, we'll kick off the accelerator program. They're going to spend 16 weeks during the course with us. Not every single day. It's not boot camp. But what it is it is the ability for them. We've recruited a bunch of what we call cameo coaches, for one. These are people that are not ConnectWise. Some are ConnectWise employees, and there are a lot that are not, that are actually industry leaders, okay, in their respective fields, from mergers and acquisitions to technologies with integrations to almost anything involved with sales, marketing, business development, the way to actually to create your pitch that makes sense, to look at to make sure you have product market fit, all these things. So you're actually going to get workshops from experts in the industry that are very large names. We'll be announcing those soon. But you're going to get a workshop every single week. We're going to train you that, again, it's an accelerator incubator program almost at this point. The goal is to teach you a few things. One is how to find the gaps that you may have and tweak whatever you need to learn more from experts, for one, of what they're looking for, especially M&A. A lot of companies get in this to hopefully the magic number is always 3 to 5 years. I've heard that for the last 20 years. We're going to be acquired in 3 to 5 years. It sometimes happens, let's be honest. But you want to know what they're thinking and what to expect and what to build at. But let's say your legacy plan is more around going into the next level of having a long-term company. Maybe you want to be the next FedEx, or you want to be the next Amazon, who knows, but you need to know what you're working with. But you're going to get development and workshops every single week for 16 weeks, right? All up until the time to prepare yourself as a business, and also how to maneuver through ConnectWise. ConnectWise has a huge marketplace. ConnectWise has a lot of partners. It's a huge network to take advantage of. So you're going to learn how to navigate that as well to start taking advantage of it. And we're actually going to be promoting all of the teams, companies, vendors. I'm calling them teams because it's a competition, but we're going to be promoting them during the course of the 16 weeks until we hit the 3 finalists. The 3 finalists, they're the ones that'll be doing exactly what you did last year. And that is going to be involving yourself. They're going to be involving themselves in pitching live at IT Nation Connect, which is a very big event, as everybody knows.
Yeah, amazing, man. So yeah, you definitely covered it. I'm keen to dive into a few questions here, and a few people have asked around how you can apply. So I'll put the link at the bottom here so you can apply just directly online. Who should apply? Let's dive into the I guess the information around who should apply, the type of business, the idea, where they're currently at in the stage of their business or funding. Is it maybe just dive into that aspect to it for a second, so then people understand.
Yeah, no, we don't. If you've already received $10 million or more in investments, then you don't apply for this. We're not going to accept you for that. But anything below that, absolutely. And as far as industry related, it's ConnectWise works with, the share of assets of ConnectWise, the platform itself and all the partners is a lot. If you look at the marketplace, it'll give you a really good idea as to who's already been involved in some way, shape, or form. But we're looking for people that are able to complement the ConnectWise community to help. ConnectWise made 3 promises last year, and PitchIT really embodies all 3 in a couple of different ways. So the 3 promises that were made were to be able to have more innovations faster. So people like you, people like Gene that you lost to, I won't rub any salt in the wound, but companies like that are innovations that are coming up, and these are real things that people that were MSPs like you and Gene that needed to fix things started to fix and realized it was a valid problem that everybody was having. So that's the innovation piece. The other thing is to be able to work easier, that we can work together easier, ConnectWise and us, and also ConnectWise, the partners, and in this case, the vendors. So we're looking for people that are complementary to the ecosystem for that reason, because there's not one platform in the world that's a one size fits all, right? There's not one thing out there that you can say this platform does everything. You can order your stuff. You can make coffee with it while you're doing it. It will press your shirts. You never have that. You have to have multiple parties. So a way to be able to bridge the gap and make introductions into these other vendors like yourself. And the other one is that ConnectWise is huge on investing. We've been investing in partners forever. So it's about investing even more for the success, for partners' growth, right? And in this case, if we can help to combine this, and again, introducing the people like you and whoever else that is going to benefit them and help them grow their business, that's a win for us. And the only way you can do is by getting them to acknowledge and promoting companies such as yourself. But yeah, so it's everything from whether you're doing financial billing, if you're doing cybersecurity, if you're doing anything that can help with manage or automate or it doesn't matter as long as it's complementary and it's something and it's a real world use. Okay. That's the thing. MSPs need, and I'm assuming if you have a company you've gotten funded already, that you probably have a good product. You probably have something that's needed anyway. So that's who should apply.
And so what if it's just an idea? Like I've just come up with an idea. It's something I've solved inside my own MSP. I really want to take it from I guess just my business and productize it and then start selling it to other MSPs. Is that too early, or is that something that should apply as well?
No, absolutely should apply. And let's put it in their perspective too. Let's say you have an idea and you're doing it and you're applying it, right? And it's working and you can't get it out there to everybody. And you're going to be looking for investors probably too, right? It wouldn't be a bad idea to be coached by the industry leaders over the next 16 weeks and to fine tune what you're doing. But also it'd be even greater if you end up becoming one of the 3 finalists. And hell, if you won, imagine going to investors and saying, not only did I do this, but I also won $70,000 from ConnectWise, which is a known brand that were judges. That, by the way, these judges that we'll be having will be industry leaders also. And I won this, so obviously my concept makes sense to this community. That's what investors are looking for. So now you have a credible reputation from winning a competition from a company that's one of the major players on the globe at working within the MSP community.
Yeah, nice, love it. I'm keen to dive into the actual, I guess, outcome then that ConnectWise would love to see, because you mentioned the three pillars that ConnectWise is really focusing on this next 12 months.
Yes.
I'm not sure. I know this is like you've come on board to really take this PitchIT competition to the next level. Why was PitchIT originally created, and what's the outcome for ConnectWise for the PitchIT competition as a business as a whole?
Good question. I mean, everybody's familiar with the show Shark Tank. Everybody knows Shark Tank. This has been going on forever. Shark Tank, before there was even a show, there's the such thing Shark Tank existed, right? So PitchIT was built around the thought of that first, and the reason why it was created is to find the next emerging technologies. These emerging technologies are important for us. Again, back to how we started this conversation on digital transformation. If you didn't see Zoom, case in point, Zoom was known, Zoom was used, but before Zoom and Teams and stuff like this, like StreamYard, everybody was doing conference calls, right, and stuff of that nature. It was regular old telephones, right? But all of a sudden, COVID takes place, and Zoom's like, "Hey, we're going to give a bunch of free licenses to all these education institutes. We're just going to free licenses to everybody." All of a sudden, it became in demand. Okay, that's innovation. Zoom is an amazing product, of course. We all know it is. It's great, and so is Teams and everyone like that. That's similar to that. It is really about being able to bring these innovations to the forefront in a seamless way. Because again, back to there isn't really Amazon is a one of a kind. We know that, right? And what ConnectWise would like to be able to do is offer that Amazon experience within the marketplace, being able to add these companies like these on into the marketplace. Again, this only benefits everybody. That's what we are very much about, trying to connect dots and align everybody where they need to be.
Do you think the marketplace is crowded? Because I'm on a lot of forums in the MSP community, and there are hundreds of vendors now, probably thousands. A lot of smaller vendors that probably exist as well. There's at least hundreds that are all striving to achieve the same thing, right? Which is get market traction, get MSPs on board.
Sure.
And obviously, every single year, there's going through this process of getting more and more vendors applying for PitchIT competition, and really come on board to try and help the ecosystem. Is it becoming too much of a market of a crowded marketplace, or do you think there's still opportunity for vendors to still come into this space and then still dominate?
That's a great question. Well, let's put it this way. Do you think Amazon has too many vendors in it? There can never be enough vendors, right? That's for one. As a buyer, as a consumer, right? If you're a consumer, Amazon is phenomenal, right? Because you can find everything, and so with more vendors comes more competition, comes leverage in pricing, leverage in features that are being created, and the willingness to work together, right? Because you have no choice. When you start to minimize, if you limit the list, it becomes more monopoly, right? So there's not, and as far as I can see, no, but from a vendor perspective, if you feel that that's the case, then you got to figure out how to learn how to leverage it better. Because even if you take away from the marketplace, you're still in the vast globe of marketplace, right? So you're still competing, right? So it's not the case. What is the case is a better practice on how you can leverage the marketplace to do what you need to do. Now, yes, I read the same social posts as you, so I know people say there is definitely improvements that can be made on ConnectWise side, which we already worked on, and we are continuing to working on that. But this is why this PitchIT competition is going to start to change the way we approach some of these business practices too, because we want you guys all to be successful. It's important. The more love that we give you guys, the more love you give in return. And at the end of the day, these partners can be successful and run with it, and they find great things from it. Then it becomes a very good story for everybody to understand, because every ConnectWise, the vendors and the partners are always looking for a better way to do business that fits the way they do business too.
At the end of the day, we're all trying to add value to the end user, right? And how do we add value to the end user? We add value to the MSP. The thing is that when I talk about the crowded marketplace, it's more from an MSP perspective. There's hundreds of vendors all trying to throw their shit at the MSP on a daily basis, right? And the MSP is like, it's just too much information, just get rid of it all. And so it's like, there's got to be and this is an idea someone's already come up with, that can pitch to the PitchIT competition, become like this strategic agnostic marketplace that is really fulfilled way that the MSP actually gets the information they need
Sure.
to make those decisions.
No, that's a great question. So first, the responsibility falls on the vendor first in this case, and I've always been the vendor. So I'm speaking from my own personal feelings towards this. My job when I'm a vendor and I'm trying to get people to use my stuff is to make it as easy as possible to understand, what does my stuff do? Exactly what we're having this call for. Why should you be on PitchIT? Why should you be involved in ConnectWise, right? Your job as a vendor is to provide the necessary content for people to understand what it is you do. Okay. Then why you should work with us. Then how you should use it. Those are things that you have to cover. You have to create good content that makes sense. Not blasting a ton of people about your stuff and saying, look how awesome we are, because you never do that. Right. But you then also need to learn how to create relationships with people such as myself or ConnectWise at large with the marketplace, and see how you can better navigate through there. And what do they need? What are they hearing? Because again, think about it. If you're like me, anytime I go to do something I don't know, I go on YouTube, right? And I look it up. If the video is way too long and it's convoluted, I don't watch the video. I find the video that's way shorter, right? And I try to get to it. So if you can't make an impactful, meaningful message that's actually something that's usable for me in that short time, then chances are you're going to lose my attention, right? I'm going to move on to something that can do it easier or better for me.
Yeah, cool. I love that. Love the approach, because it's 100% right, and it's the conversation I have with many vendors and MSPs in the space. The 16-week program that you're about to take, actually, I should ask, how many people are you accepting into the program as a first off?
We didn't put a number to limit it to, because the one thing we wanted to make sure of is we got all the best participants, period, regardless. So if it's 10, if it's 5, if it's 500, I don't really care. It's really, for us, ConnectWise, this whole way we see it is, we want the best. We want the cream of the crop. We want people that are willing to do this. Again, you could have the greatest technology in the world, but if you're unwilling to make it easy to use or digest or to communicate, even to work, if you're not willing to work together, it's not going to work well for you anyway. But it comes down to, we're here to solve problems.
So everyone should apply. So everyone applies. You take on 100, 200, 500 vendors, as to whoever wants to come on board throughout the 6-week program.
Let me clarify first. Not everybody that applies will be accepted. Just so we're clear. We will be vetting them out. That's why it's not until the second. So don't. I want to make sure that's very transparent today.
How many are you accepting into the 16-week program?
We don't have a number on that. We don't have a number on that. But we're going to vet. From the applicants, we're going to vet based off what we see there, because if it's something it's not fair to anybody to entertain an idea that doesn't make any sense. Okay. It's going to be a waste of the person's time. That's the vendor that's applying, if we do that, because they're never going to have a chance. So if anything, we're going to accept based off of who's going to interlink and do well for partners, solve problems, and be able to connect the dots between ConnectWise and partners and make it efficient and successful, period.
Yeah, so you got to help. So whoever applies, you got to help them through the process and go, well, this is why you should be a part of the program. This is why your idea pretty much sucks. Go find another idea to work on. That's good. It's really useful, because you don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste their time, right? At the end of the day.
Sure.
And you don't want them to waste their time on an idea or a concept.
Right. It may be a great idea, but it's not, maybe the market's not ready for it at this point or something, maybe your idea is, I'm going to be a hologram that bakes pies for you. That sounds amazing, right? But there's no technology that exists like that today. So what are we doing that for? Right.
I totally hear that, man, because I feel like that we're still 3 years ahead of our time, because artificial intelligence, no one wants to talk about it here. It's like this mystical thing, right? So I totally get it.
Well, yeah. AI is what the Internet of Things was 5 years ago. The Internet of Things, I never understood that. Like the last 5 to 10 years, I would go to different conferences and listen to the experts speak about the Internet of Things. And really, depending on what kind of conference you were at, would change around what the Internet of Things really meant to them and what it did. And I was like, I still don't know what the hell it does. I do now, but then I didn't. So AI is in the same. AI is used for so many things, though, and it can be amazing. It's
Yeah.
subjective to the problem you're trying to solve.
Even though artificial intelligence has been around for 30 years,
But
it's
it's not.
still
Yeah, since the
it's not
Terminator.
real.
Since the Terminator. The Terminator was. I mean, come on, we all saw that. Skynet did it. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So back to my point, because we could easily digest for an hour on this conversation. People apply, they get into the opportunity to be a part of the 6 week program. You mentioned before around the I guess the marketing and how to get your brand awareness out there. I'm assuming that will be aspect of the 16-week program.
Absolutely.
Is it everything from sales, marketing, all the way through to finance to closing a customer? Like, what's the program about? You touched highly on it before.
Sure, that's a great question. So again, with these Cameo coaches, they're to give you tips and tricks, right? They're gonna have a workshop, so you're gonna get training from them, right? But they're not the end all be all either. They're all just building blocks for the 16 weeks. But the goal at the end of the day is to ensure that all of the vendors that apply, that go through the program, first off, are collaborate or learn how to collaborate amongst the group to start to be able to cross promote each other, promote ConnectWise, we promote them, etc. Right? That's a valuable lesson on how to build brand awareness. So we are going to train you and work on things by the end to where you should at least have an understanding of the things you're missing and what you have to work on and where to find the resources from too. So branding, marketing, sales. And when I say these things, right, these are all very high level because there's a drill down to every single thing you do, right? Like for instance, this conversation we're having right now, this is brand awareness. This is just one piece of it, right? It's also a sales pitch to a degree, which I dislike sales pitches, but I don't mind pitches. They make sense. They're good to tell people what you're doing. But at the end of it, it's really about making sure you understand what's a sales process, and understanding how to put one together. We always talk about playbooks. Playbooks are very big in our space. You should have a playbook for everything, whether it's a workflow of your operations or it's a sales process or it's a marketing process or it's, and we'll dig down into the sales process. If it's a, appointment scheduling one where you're setting appointments and qualifying leads, or if it's going to be an actual demo or presentation, or you're going to close a deal, you'll learn parts and pieces of this stuff all through the course of this program.
And do you have product experts? Because one thing that I would have loved to learn a lot sooner was one of the mistakes we made was we listened to all our partners, MSPs throughout our journey the last couple of years, and we kept building features that they wanted, and they kept telling us they wanted. And the next day we built 55 features that no one uses in our product. Is there a product expert that also will come along the journey?
Yes, and it comes in, but the product expert comes in many forms, right? You built all these pages and you did all, which is great. That meant you were listening, but you have to learn when to get rid of noise, right? Again, and one of the biggest conversations you ever see in technology is integration conversations, right? Do you integrate with this? Do you integrate with that? Do you integrate with that? And theoretically, yeah, it's open APIs. You can integrate anywhere almost, right? But the question is for what? What's the use case? So yeah, during the course of this, you're going to talk to technology experts that are going to talk about what does your product do? You want to know, hey, what does your product do? What are you trying to solve? And back to, if you're talking to an M&A guy, what's that person going to say to you? How do you solve the problem as simple as possible, right? And make it not overbearing on cost, right? And how do you become effective? And what's the market share look like for this? Because that's really what it comes down to. Like your product itself. I mean, your product that you built and where you're going with this, with your company, is humongous. Because it works with help desk, which is every single freaking MSP in the world, right? They all provide, or even outsourced help desk companies. I mean, it's a big deal. So again, when you're doing that, you have to learn to understand what's it going to do for you. So we are going to have product managers. We're going to have people that are integration specialists. We're going to have merger and acquisition people. They're all going to give you that well-rounded education that a lot of times is solely missing. It's about you making sure that you're paying attention to it, of course, taking the right notes. And it gives you a full-fledged plan. It's a business plan at the end of the day with everything.
Yeah, I think it's invaluable, man. I think the whole 16-week program is just absolutely key. We did a 16-week program with Launch Accelerator when we went through our accelerated program for raising capital in the US. And that was just, it was only one session a week, but that 16 weeks was just like accountability next topic, accountability, next topic, and it's just absolutely key to help us learn the entire process that we, starting from absolutely nothing.
Absolutely, and that's kind of important. Think about that, and think about the sheer amount of investment that ConnectWise is putting into this. This is how important. This is how important the partners are, the MSPs are, the end users. That's how important they are, and how important the vendors have become now to us to invest. I mean, you're talking, we're dedicating months of work prior to, months of work during the course of it. And by months of work, it's not just me, right? It's a whole team of ConnectWise people doing this, plus the sheer amount of money they pay for this to work and to improve the way we do business. It is a lot. I will tell you now.
That's good.
When I sat down with the executive team that's in charge, they gave me my marching orders and like, look, this is where we want to go. And it was a big whiteboard. It was as big as my wall, and it was literally just filled with so many things about this that there's a lot. It was almost like looking at hieroglyphics. I was confused for a moment. I was like, we gotta figure out
how to simplify this. yeah. I've just put the link at the bottom of this chat because we've had a few people message through asking for the link to learn more about the PitchIT competition. So if you just go to the link at the bottom here, and I'll also post that after we get off this call as a URL, so you can just click on it and read through the information and just apply.
Enrique just applied. Thanks, man. I'm glad you were able to do it. He did it while we're sitting there talking.
Yeah, perfect.
I got the notification.
There's been a fair few comments that have been coming through, and I've been putting those comments into the questions that we've been getting at the same time.
And to add some clarity and some expectations, I have no decision-making ability on who will be the ultimate winners. I am the unbiased person at the end of the day because I fall in love with really good concepts on a regular basis, and I fall in love with people like too much. So I've pulled myself away from being the judge. Now I'll be in the first round coming up for who goes in based off. We already have a checklist of criteria, of course, which is already we've talked about robustly or pretty high level rather in the website. But after that, I'm here to help be a guide. And our team has dedicated a lot of time to this, and they will moving forward. So my advice for anybody does apply: make sure you're very engaged. If you don't understand something, ask a question. If you need something, get the help you need. Come to us. You'll meet the team. Anybody that does go on to the next round to be part of the accelerator program, we will be having an orientation call on the first day when we kick it off, where we'll do a couple of things. And this is different from what you went through originally too. We're going to go through this where you're going to meet us as a team. We're going to set the expectation and give you an itinerary of how the 16 weeks breaks down, what your obligation will be for time, right? So all this going into this. So there's no question about it. All the meetings will be scheduled at that point that you need to be part of for workshops and meetings and whatnot. And on the other side of it, though, during the same orientation call, you're going to create your profile for your company profile in our marketplace. And that's free for you to be part of the marketplace while you're a PitchIT contestant, which is something that we didn't offer in the past. And there is a banner already created. So back to your concern about the marketplace being kind of boggled down a bit or too crowded, there's actually a banner right there that says PitchIT. So people that want to see you, you're going to be listed under that banner. They click right on there, they'll be able to see your company. So you're immediately going to get traction on what you got going on, what you have going on.
Yeah, awesome. Love it. I guess the one thing that I found to be the most amazing thing about going through this process with PitchIT competition and obviously getting to the finals and getting second place was just an unreal experience to go through. And obviously we did completely remotely. But it would be awesome to be in person if you can make it to the competition in the future. Is the brand awareness exercise. So you mentioned this earlier. Is if you get accepted, you apply, you get accepted. Honestly, all I can recommend is every single week you'll post. Just start getting brand awareness out there and just start promoting the hell out of it, because being a part of something like this is just absolutely amazing for your brand.
Absolutely, and you're gonna have to make a conscious effort to be part of that. Every company should be. If you're in this, take advantage of it. Use this to the fullest the entire time. You're essentially involved with a company that's backing you without really investing in you, but investing in you in time. We're not giving you money being a 16-week accelerator program, but we're giving you something far more invaluable, which is the time and the presence and the awareness. Those are humongous for everybody, right? It's a big deal. And also, and to add to that too, not just that part alone, Because if you do this right, at the end of 16 weeks, you want everybody to know your name. That's the goal, right? Everybody should know your name. People should be asking. You should become the SME in whatever it is you do. And we are completely okay with if you're doing things just like we're doing right now, where you invited me to this. Invite me to your stuff. Anybody's doing this stuff, by all means, I'm more than happy to come on, talk with you. We talk about where you guys are. I don't care. We'll do a sit down. It's better that way. If it's virtual, we'll sit down, we'll talk. I'll have my drink. I'll have my cigar. We'll talk about what you've experienced, what I experienced with you guys, and what I've been hearing. I have no problem with that. We encourage it. We welcome it. It only does better for all of us collectively if we do it that way. And to add to this too, yeah, and to add even that, Enrique, you applied, so you're on the website. Anybody's on the website, you also see where there's actual a terms link. You can click on there and look what the terms look like. We're offering discounts for future sponsorships. And I'm thinking about this because, like you just said, about, hey, you should come down whenever there's time, right? If you can make it to the US, if you're not here, and you can make it to IT Nation Connect in November, you should want to. If you can make it, try and make it, because you'll get discounts on sponsors for anybody that actually makes it into the accelerator program and follows through with the entire accelerator program. It doesn't bail out. And I say that because we'll bail out sometimes if they lose focus. There's nothing we can do about that, because you're here to run our business. You're here to run your business, and we're here to help you run it. We're here to help push the envelope and get you to be bigger.
Yeah, amazing. This has been awesome, Sean. Thank you very much for jumping on. I really do appreciate it. Any last comments or anything else you'd like to quickly finish off with before we jump off it and start sharing the word with our entire community?
I would say this. There's going back to who should apply. You don't know if your idea is great or not sometimes. If you think it is, you should at least entertain it. And it doesn't hurt you to try, right? To fill out an application and to fill out a form takes maybe all of 30 minutes of your entire life, right? If you get accepted, then it's allocating time. It's investing in your time in your business. Treat it as such. This is definitely something we take very serious. Push it. Me, with my experience, as I said, I worked with 5 startups. 3 of them gone to acquisition. Okay. And usually most of them, when they came to me, they were brilliant owners. They were brilliant technologists. Whatever they built was great. Where they struggled was like in the marketing, sales, and branding piece typically, right? So one of the factors you should always look at when you do this is repeatable and scalable, right? If it's not repeatable and scalable on anything you do, every process in your company, everything, then you should figure out how to make it that way, right? How to make it as such. There's no bad idea, really. Everything could be good. I mean, obviously, I shouldn't say there are some bad ideas. I mean, I was in high school and in the Army, so I've had some bad ideas. But at large, you should try. And at the very least, everybody's in it to win it, of course. But in the end, if you end up not becoming one of 3 finalists and you don't win the final thing, do exactly what you're doing. I mean, take note. We're on a call. You took second place. You didn't even win the whole thing. You took second place, which you won money, and you were able to apply that, and you got awareness too. But you're still doing it. Push this as much as you can for yourself. Leverage us. Use us to your advantage. Why not? That's what we're here to do.
And as you know, we're in the remote working world. We can do it from wherever we are. Hence the reason you're seeing all the bikes riding around us all morning, because we want to jump on this before the PitchIT competition goes live, and you can see
look at that.
everyone getting ready for their ride today.
That's amazing.
Which is awesome, man. Thanks very much. I really appreciate you jumping on with me, and I can't wait to see everyone apply and all the amazing, crazy ideas that come into the MSP ecosystem. It's going to be awesome.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. Thank you for having me. Well, Enrique, I'll be looking for your name. I'll be looking at your stuff. So, and anybody else that applies, I think there's another person applied. I think I just got a notification on. So, yeah, I'm super stoked about it. So is the team. It's gonna be fun.
Make sure you apply, and
Yes.
I'm keen to see all these crazy ideas come to life as well. Thank you very much, bro, and I'll speak to you very soon.
Thank you all.